Hi guys, I am here today to recommend some short story collections to you. I've already done one video where I recommended 5 short story collections that I really love, which I'll link down below. So today I'm going to tell you about another 5 short story collections that I really love, and also talk to you about 5 short story collections that I'm very excited to read in the future. I'll start with the ones that I've already read first, and the first one I'd like to mention is Hot Kitchen Snow by Susannah Rickards, and this is an absolutely gorgeous cover. It's very Cath Kidston-y. It was the winner of the Scott Prize, which was a short story collection competition that Salt Publishing used to run every year. Typically we lie to each other 4 times a day, and the most common lie told is I'm fine. The characters in Hot Kitchen Snow go one step further. They lie to themselves. This collection explores the gap between how others see us and how we see ourselves. Ultimately, Hot Kitchen Snow is a collection about the restorative powers in life, about warmth, forgiveness, and acceptance. Now, I read this maybe 5 years ago, and I just remember the characterization being wonderful. So if you want some great characters and stories, then I would recommend this one. As always, I will leave links to all of the books down below. The next one I want to talk about is Not the End of the World by Kate Atkinson. Now, I love Kate's novels, I do, but I think her short stories are my favourite, and this is her first short story collection, and it plays with elements of magical realism, and it's about the hidden world of our subconscious and how sometimes it invades our reality. It's really charming, great characters. I think one of my favourites is a story where, if I remember correctly, because it's been like 7 years since I read it, it's about 2 women at the end of the world who are just wandering through a department store and everything's falling apart around them, but they're just, you know, chatting away. It's really, really great. I would recommend that one too. The next one I'd like to talk about is Claire Keegan's Antarctica, which plays with myth and folklore and setting. With some short story collections, I'd recommend reading them spaced out, but with this, I'd recommend reading it on a rainy day, on the sofa, curled up under a blanket, because the setting and the atmosphere, they'll sweep you away. The Sunday Telegraph says on the back, the beautifully crafted stories in her first collection, Antarctica, are like chilling adult versions of fairy tales, albeit with echoes of Raymond Carver and William Trevor. Now, speaking of fairy tales, the next 2 are quite heavily fairy tale oriented, and the first one being The Rental Heart and Other Fairy Tales by Kirsty Logan. I have mentioned The Gracekeepers a lot on this channel, and I've also mentioned her recent short story collection, A Portable Shelter, quite a lot, but this is Kirsty's first book, which came out last year, and it's fantastic. The title, Collection 1, The Rental Heart, is about a world where people have to go to almost like a clock shop. Yeah, it's like a clockmaker's. You go and you get your heart repaired every time someone breaks it, which is just a wonderful, wonderful image. Another one of my favourite stories is about a girl who has antlers and a boy who has a tail, and they are decidedly not friends, but then they decide to maybe team up because of their differences, which is lovely. And then, as it says on the back, in an alternative 19th century Paris, a love triangle emerges between a man, a woman, and a coin-operated boy. These stories are quite short, very quirky, and wonderful. The next one I'd like to mention is Middle Stories by Sheila Heti. Some of these I loved and some of them I didn't. You've got a mermaid on the front giving you the finger, and there's a quote on the back which I think is very appropriate. It says, "The middle stories stayed with me as one of the things that actually meant something to me this year. Heti's stories don't care if you like them. They were Cleopatra in a former life. They are all things counter, original, spare, and strange. If you buy the book, your best friend will steal it." So these are really short, almost flash fiction type fairy tale inspired short stories. They're gritty, they're not for children, as fairy tales should be. And the one that stood out for me was about a boy who found, I think it was a boy, it's 8 years since I read it, but about a boy who found a small mermaid and put her in a jam jar, filled it with water, and never cleaned the water, so she was kind of swimming around in her own feces. Really gritty, really weird, really not very nice, but it was great fun. It was great fun. So there's that one. And finally, here are 5 short story collections that I'm hoping to get to in the not too distant future. The first one is The Fahrenheit Twins by Michelle Faber, who you all know is one of my absolute favourite writers. I haven't read any of his short stories yet. No, I tell a lie. I read The Apple, which is a collection of short stories based around the characters in The Crimson Petal and The White, but that's kind of tied in with the novel. So this is the first standalone short story collection of his that I have to read, and that excites me It excites me a lot. It says, within these 17 stories, Faber levels his gaze at humanity in all its despair, joy, and mundanity, from the achingly sad lost lives of the safe house, through moments of exquisitely distilled happiness in vanilla bright like M&M, to the biblical innocence and savagery of the Fahrenheit twins. We are redeemed, abandoned, beloved, and laid bare, but we are always recognisable. The next one I would like to read is Something Like Happy by John Burnside. Have I mentioned John Burnside enough on this channel recently? No. Here are some gritty short stories from John Burnside. I am under no illusion that these are not going to be light reads, because he's heavy. Like, his subject matter is kind of intense and it's kind of gruesome, and I kind of love it. The next one is The Colour Master by Aimee Bender, which I picked up early this year because it said that she was very much like Karen Russell and Ramona Ossabel, two short story writers who I absolutely love. She also wrote The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake, which I haven't read but also have heard great things about. It says, the New York Times best-selling author of The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake returns with a wonderful collection of enchanting, strange, and magical stories about people searching for connection through love, sex, and family, while navigating the often painful realities of their lives. Evocative, funny, sad, and beautifully written, The Colour Master cements Aimee Bender's reputation as one of the most imaginative and exciting writers of her time. I'm looking forward to reading this. I picked this up at Shakespeare and Company earlier this year, so it has the lovely Shakespeare and Company stamp on the front, always a plus. This is one that I actually got at the end of last year, and look at it. It's probably one of the most beautiful books that I own, and it's Tales of the Marvellous and News of the Strange, the first English translation of medieval Arab fantasy collection. So these are Arabic fairy tales that were discovered a few years ago, never before published, and Penguin Classics published it in their hardback cloth-bound editions. There's also a paperback version in, I think it's their Black Classics, and it's also beautiful, though not as beautiful as this one, but definitely cheaper, so there is that too. And yeah, exciting new fairy tales. I'm looking forward to reading this along with the collection of fairy tales that was discovered a few years ago in Germany, which was the pumpkin, oh god, what was it called? Can't remember. I'll insert the title here. I have that to read too. And finally, a Japanese short story collection that I'm looking forward to reading is We, the Children of Cats by Tomiyuki Hoshimo, and this is magical realism. It says, a man and a woman find their genders and sexualities brought radically into question when their bodies sprout new parts, seemingly out of thin air. A man travels from Japan to Latin America in search of revolutionary purpose and finds much more than he bargains for. A journalist investigates a poisoning at an elementary school and gets lost in an underworld of buried crimes, secret societies, and haunted forests. Two young killers, exiled from Japan, find a new beginning as resistance fighters in Peru. So there we go. Those are some collections that I'm looking forward to reading soon. I'm sorry if my voice is very throaty. I'm still not very well, which is why I haven't uploaded a video in a few days. I've also been very busy on book tour and with closing the bookshop, as you will have seen if you watched my little chat video, which I uploaded a few weeks ago. I have a very exciting video going up later this week where I'm going to be talking to you guys about a little project that I am doing, which I hope you guys will enjoy too. Secret. It'll be up in a couple of days. I will speak to you guys very soon. Please do recommend me some short story collections in the comments section down below, and let me know if you want to check any of these out. Lots of bookish love. Bye.